Hey everyone, my name is Muriel Dijkma, and in my video you will be able to learn how I went from being totally broke and struggling as a social worker married with a bankrupt husband, Dirk, who I love a lot, to being a successful entrepreneur, standing in the power and the center of her life, inspiring others now to live a free and fulfilled happy life, full with joy, wealth, and prosperity. And you know, I love to share this story with you because I want to be crystal clear about myself to be able to show you what you have in you as power. So, I am 43 now, almost 44 in 2 weeks, and that actually makes me feel proud because when I look back on my life, um, I think I was lucky with born with a positive chip in my mind. Things weren't always very glamorous, happy, and going very well because since I can remember, there was something wrong with my mom. Although I had a very beloved childhood, my parents loved me very much. My mom suffered from a manic depression, and I remember as a 3-year old, that's one of my oldest memories, that I was sitting in front of the bike of my dad, visiting my mom, who actually stayed for, I don't know, a couple of days or even weeks. I'm even not sure about that because I was so small. We went visiting her, bringing her flowers and chocolate because she had a mental breakdown and she had to recover somewhere else. And that, as a very small child, was really weird, seeing your mom go. And I always had that feeling inside of me, afraid that she would leave me, which she actually did later on in my life. But I will cover that later in my personal story here. So as a child, I have known a lot of happiness because my mom wasn't always very sad. Like manic depressions go like waves of the sea. So we had happy years as well. I had everything that I could, that a child could dream of. There was money for hobbies and education, and I had friends and clubs and things like that were all totally fine. But since I was about 15, her illness started to manifest very strongly, and as a young adult that time, I couldn't close my eyes for seeing her suffer a lot, and actually telling me and sharing her problems with me as well. I threw myself up as a helping hand. That's not something that a child is supposed to do, but I just did. My dad was a firefighter, and he was like 24 hours on duty, 48 hours off. So I was a lot at home with my mom, and she actually saw me as as a friend, then more than as a friend than as her daughter that time. So she shared a lot of her problems with me, which was not very easy for me later on in my life. So, she shared with me her death wishes as well. So that was kind of hard. And as I was going, to college, I saw her suffering became stronger until that day that I was 17. She had an attempted suicide attempt that she was luckily saved, but it was really impactful to see my mom lying on the intensive care with all stuff in her, all the how do you say that, things to keep her alive. And that actually worked out very well until I was just 19. She jumped before a train because she didn't see a way out, and that's just actually what happened with my mom, in a very quick version of that story. Perhaps it sounds weird for you that I just share that like in a nutshell with you, but since I'm now almost 44, I'm used to that story, and it crafted my personality how I am now. And that part of my childhood is a huge contribution to my inner strength that I have now, and that have helped me to overcome other things in my life that weren't really easy for me. So at that time that I just lost my mom, I was doing social studies, having very good grades actually, and I always knew that I wanted to help others. And I think because I was brought up in a situation of problems, and also my parents suffered a lot. My parents' marriage suffered a lot from the manic depressions of my mom. It wasn't very easy for my dad as well, to protect me from all that psychiatric problems, and he did his very best to make me a happy child, and he succeeded for a huge part, and I'm really thankful for that to my dad. And but since I was 19, he was the messenger to tell me that my mom has died, and we had to find a way to continue living together since I'm an only child. And we always connected very well. We were like best buddies, and we still have a very, very strong um, bound together. So, okay, it gets very emotional every time saying this, but this is actually the true Muriel who got over a lot thanks to this. In my life, just after my mom died, I got involved with this amazing, sweet guy. We fell in love when I was about 17, the same time that my mom tried to kill herself for the first time. And he was a great, humorous, tender, loving guy, but he had one problem, which he told me. He told me the first day, so he was crystal clear and transparent about it. But he had an amazing, a huge heroin drug addiction problem. But I was just looking for love, and I found it with him. We had great years. We spent 10 years together. But that was also 10 years of my life taking care of another human being. But I needed to, and that um, repressed my own passions. I had to deal with a lot of things about my mom who committed suicide, and those 10 years spending my life with an amazing personality who had a very strong drug addiction problem was for me distraction that I loved that time. It helped me not to look myself into the eyes that I had to deal how traumatic the death of my mom was. But I actually, 9 years, just a year before I left him, my eyes started to open because my heart started to beat very hard. Something woke up in me that I wanted to become a mother. I had dreams like to travel the world. I had dreams that were not about to come true if I continued living with someone who had a lot of problems to solve for himself. So I decided to leave this man, to find his own happiness. And I found my own happiness. I was like single for almost a year. I quit my job as a social worker that I always loved, but it was not the answer for saving a lot of money to travel the world, which was my plan. So I started to work full-time in a couple of bars in the center of The Hague, and that was actually one of the most exciting years of my life, like being free from problems of my boyfriend for 10 years, and just got a very nice positive attention of everyone. I had a great colleagues and a great boss and a great time working in a big grand cafe and restaurant, and I partied a lot. I made a lot of new friends, and life started to be light and shiny and exciting again. I had the feeling that I was in charge of my own happiness, which I actually was. And I try to keep this life story of me short, but there's so much to tell. So in a nutshell, what happened then, I met the love of my life, Dirk, who I'm married now with, and we have two amazing, beautiful children. And we started to travel the world for a year together. And when we came home, we had dreams to become parents. And then we break free another short period to travel, like for 2 months, to the south of Europe. And there, actually, our first daughter was created, and then our parenthood started, and the dreams of Dirk to create his own uh, restaurant business, and so he did. So he started his restaurant, his first restaurant business, and I became a stay-at-home mom, struggling to find a way to create an income from home, which actually didn't work out. So I had to get back to the job when our daughter was around 1.5 years. No one in in my community was open-minded for my inner wish to always be a stay-at-home mom, creating an income, but on my own terms. There was nothing like that for me that time. The system that I work with now wasn't there yet, and so it was always like a struggle to to juggle, to be with our daughter, and while my husband was working 70 plus hours in his restaurant business, we had, it was a hard time. It was really a hard time. We almost broke up after the first year of our daughter Sam. She was born, and our inner love survived, and what happened then was, like, actually he started his second restaurant. In the meanwhile, we traveled together with our daughter to Asia as well. Like, we were always passionate travelers, because Dirk sold his first restaurant, and in the meanwhile we had the ability to travel with the three of us, and that was so amazing. But then when we come home, he started a huge restaurant business because he was full of passion, and he just wanted to do this, but he had to work even more, like, let's say, even 90 plus hours, and it was tense. And in the meanwhile, our second child was born, Nick, our son. They're both now 11 and 6 years old. It was like working our lives away. It was like the life was about our paychecks and juggling between how to pick up the kids, between work and some marriage in between. We had less time together, and we had to miss our kids a lot. Especially Dirk. I find a job as a social worker with night shifts, actually, to not miss my life of my kids. So I decided to sleep at work. So, but that's of course not ideal, I was never sure if I could be home with Christmas, with their birthdays, days like that. And although I'm very grateful for that time with that colleagues that I worked with then, and with the amazing clients that I work with mental disabilities, it was not ideal as a parent. So also there, the seed for being an inspirator to help other women and other parents to come home with their kids, to create an income online from home using, other ways to create income, like we do now, using the internet and our laptops and a smart system. But that time we didn't know about it. And so what actually happened was the breaking point of our lives. And here, this is very important, where I found out that, like, after losing my mom, committing suicide by jumping before a train, until the boom bankruptcy of my husband at the end of 2013, two very important points in my life that my eyes started to open. We hit bankruptcy. Actually, Dirk hit bankruptcy with $300K. So that's like not being able to pay in a lifetime debt, right? That's what the people around us told us. And like, that was the moment that I realized that, okay, there was a lot I overcame in my life, like death, like drug addicted boyfriend. And although that happened to me, I always felt like I had this positive drive in me to overcome it. This was the moment that actually Dirk pulled me through and showed me as well that I didn't have to find 2 to 3 other jobs for paying off debt and being able to afford for a family. He found another way to create income and to pay off our debt, and that's what we still do. But for how I created the success that I'm living now, that I'm so blessed about and proud about, that didn't just fall out of the sky. I connected with an online community of female entrepreneurs worldwide, globally united, inside the same online business system that we work with. And they reached out to me. And this amazing online women entrepreneurial group helped me to establish the Muriel that I celebrate to be today. I learned to step into my inner powers, to face, whatever that happens, but also learned how to use my story, how to craft my story into the success story of my own future and of today, but also how I can contribute to other people, especially to other women, other moms, how to be in charge of their own happiness, and how can they step into their powers to create their ideal lifestyle, which I know a lot of women are not aware of. They have that power. And so from that, very vulnerable little girl with with a sick mom, like a manic depressed mom who was really loving and caring, to the young adult with a drug addicted boyfriend who partied a lot and had a lot of, I had to take care of another adult. That was really hard. Seeing him cold turkey like many times, all that stuff that's part of drug addiction. I was just in there in the middle of there until that bankruptcy, end of 2013. My life could have fall like could have break down, but it didn't. I just fought for my happiness, and in that journey, on that journey, I discovered a way to inspire others as well, and just by sharing stories. People, this is just a real story. I've gotten back a lot of responses of others that my story helped others, and that's exactly the reason why I'm sharing my story. And if you somehow are inspired by this story, and if you want to learn more about this super women group and this super women bootcamp that I'm in the middle of right now, and I'm covering a section of that as well, there's coming a new edition in January. If you want to be part of that and want to learn from that group with me and with hundreds of others of women, reach out to me. Reach out to me here on Facebook by PM me, invite me as friends, and feel free to share, because it's okay. You live now, you live today. That's the statement of my husband Dirk and I. You live today, so make it happen today. Time is on your side. Let time be on your side and step into your inner power and make it happen. Reach out to me. Comment on my video down below, and I'm so looking forward to hear more about you and to guide you along your way together with a lot of other super women. I love you, and talk soon. This was Muriel. Bye for now.